Hello, this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about something that happened in my neck of the woods in Michigan, which I first saw the news, I guess, from TikTok. Someone was, from all appearances, looked like a white woman complaining about the government wasting their time while people are dying. People are dying, I guess, from climate change or whatever. And we're wasting our time banning pride flags. And I looked into the story because it's from the Detroit News and stuff, and it's the city council of Hamtramck, which is an all Muslim city council and a Muslim mayor, banned the usage of flags, all flags but 5, like the city flag, state flag, POW flag, the our national flag, and there was another kind of flag as well. But all the other ones you can't use. You can still hang whatever you want on your own property, but as far as like public city property, no, you can't hang flags like a BLM flag. You can't hang a Muslim flag or a Christian flag, and you can't raise a pride flag. And people flipped the freak out, and there was a big protest. And I'm going to show you some video footage of it. And there was even like 2 lesbians who kissed in front of the crowd of Muslim men. And I'm like, they're not gonna like that. And you didn't do that out of love. You did that out of, I don't know, to stick it to them. But nevertheless, their policy went through. So I want to talk about that. Also, this crazy law that's being pushed in California, which I'm sure it will pass because Gavin Newsom will probably sign it. And this crazy, really disgusting state senator Scott Wiener has his name on it, as I'm not too surprised, but they want to classify gay couples as being infertile, so insurance companies can pay for IVF and for surrogacy. And when someone is infertile, or when women are infertile and they can't have children, that is a big wound because something is wrong. So to reclassify that for men so they can get access to a woman's body and be able to pay for whatever they need with IVF, surrogacy, or whatever, I think that's pretty twisted and pretty sick. And we'll talk about that story, as well as this crazy story that someone shared about about some crime that happened in San Francisco, and it's really bad. And it does remind me of when my car was broken into. I told that story before, but if you leave anything in your car, even for a few minutes, your stuff's going to be gone. It's just going to be gone. So we'll talk about those things today. But before we jump into it, I encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. You guys can check out different merch that we have at the store as well. And I got my web page open, so I'm just going to show you the merchandise page really quick. At the top here, that is my banner for my books and stuff. So if you go to the website, click that, it'll take you to my book website. Ninja does publishing, but got the like Life Win stuff. But the pride, this is my pride flag. So that's the one I really wanted to show today. So you guys can check out that and other merchandise that we have there at Black Tea News. We got other stuff. Actually, this is a shirt I'm wearing today right now, but mine's in pink. And the hoodie's cute too. So you guys can get the XX Club and check out the different merch that we have at the website. You guys can also go to the website, and if you'd like to donate, you can go to blacktnews.com and support in that kind of way. Cost a stream, run my website, all that good stuff. So if you would like to support, God bless you, very much appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you can do super chats and stickers as well. And please check out, I mentioned that I have books and it's easy to find. You can just type my name in at on Amazon, but you guys can go to the website and find me there. Check out my book, Of Course God Blatantly Against Abortion. It covers, theology, obviously, but it also covers science and philosophy, and talks about why we need, more absolutes, why we should respect people from, conception. Basically, the argument is we can't trust each other. And I think historically I make a pretty good argument, but also, talk about redemption over condemnation. I had a interview with Deborah Tilden from Smart Women's Healthcare, and it's Smart is Science Matters and Abortion Related Trauma. And she, if you haven't seen that interview, please go check out that interview. She talked about her experience when she would led her to having an abortion and the after effects of it, and how she had to really unpack her trauma behind it and how she came to healing. So if you have a moment, please check that out. But I think there's a lot of societal harm to abortion, and so many people have like baby laser focus and leave the women out who go through that and have nobody to really talk to, because there's a lot of women who open up about this stuff and they're just berated, to be honest. And they'll be berated by activists because they're like, you're discouraging other people who might really need an abortion. And it's like, or they could share their story and people could hopefully change their mind. It seems weird that people seem to agree that it's a not a good thing, but people seem to be mad when you persuade them not to do it. So that's very strange to me. And I also have fiction books as well that I've written that you guys can. The last thing I'm going to mention before I move on, for example, everyone's talking about The Little Mermaid. I do have for example, a mermaid book that I wrote called The Dark Mermaid that you guys can go check out on Amazon. So that's one of the many books that I have. I have 17 that are published, 17 books, and 2 are nonfiction, and the rest are fiction. So that's like the love of my life until I have a man and children. All right. And thank you guys. I see you in the chat. Thank you for watching live, and those who are watching back later. Quick shout out though to Eric July. If you're not familiar with Eric July, his account is Young Ripa. Oh, is it 59 Young Ripa? I don't remember his account exactly on YouTube. It's Young Ripa something. It's a number, but ericjuly.com is his website. So some time ago, he released a comic book called, ISOM, and he started a campaign. It's not some people think it's a fundraising, like a Kickstarter kind of thing, a crowdfunding, but it's not crowdfunding. It was pre-order for his book, and they just blew totally past our expectations, and he made like or in sales anyway over $3 million with his first release for this book. So as a content creator, it was really inspiring for him to go out and do his own thing. And so they're expanding his universe, and he's coming out with other books. He announced like Alpha Core and the Yaira book, and he has Chuck Dixon, who's a comic book legend, working on Alpha Core. So if you're familiar with comic books, I thought that was a pretty big deal, pretty cool thing. And by the way, he pays people when they're done with the project. Chuck Dixon mentioned that, and I guess industry standard with that kind of stuff is like they'll pay you maybe anywhere from like 30 to 60 days out. So people who are working for him appreciate getting that money pretty good, and apparently he's paying them pretty well. So anyway, he started his campaign on the second book, and when I went to his website, it was like totally crashed at the time because I guess they were just overloaded with so many people. But last I checked, they had reached over $1 million already. So I predict that I guess he'll probably do about the same at least, or probably better than his first campaign. So very impressive and very inspiring. So just congrats to Eric July. I love to get him on my show to interview him, to talk about some of the stuff that he's doing, but I'll have to now they put that out publicly in the atmosphere, I'll have to I guess tweet at him or something. So anyway, just really inspiring. I know there's other people who watch and follow me in We're Mutuals, whatever, who creatives and putting out other stuff and hoping to, see big success with that stuff. So really good story to share. So anyway, let's get into the tea. I do not have a funny meme for you guys. So I'm going to jump into this Hamtramck story. So as I said, I saw people complaining about this on TikTok, and I'm like, Hamtramck, that's where, I don't live in Hamtramck, but I do live in Michigan. So I noticed that they were saying, and I posted a reply to this on TikTok and on the short, so maybe you guys are a little aware of the story. But there's this woman complaining like, "Oh, there's so much stuff going on. People are dying. Our planet is dying, and they're wasting their time banning flags." And they said banning a flag that represents love of all people, and that's not what it means. That's not what it means. And as a flag keeps growing and becoming more hideous, that's definitely not what it means. My sister was talking about a friend of hers who was gay, and she was so mad when they started incorporating more colors into the flag beyond the rainbow. Then it got racial, and then it got did they add like the racial colors the same time they added the trans stuff? So you got ideology packed in there, as well as like if you have same sex orientation. That's what it is. It's about, your attraction. It's, not really a love. Friendship is magic. I love you flag. It, has a particular purpose. So anyway, I went and I read the story on the Detroit News. Come to find out, it's the city, and she kind of covered the article. Not kind of, like, you could just see pretty much the headline, and she didn't really go in the details of the story. So I actually read the story, and it's the city council. It's not like banning all flags throughout the city. The city council, who are all Muslim, the mayor's Muslim too, decided that they would make a neutral policy so that you could only have certain flags fly on public space. You are still free to do whatever you want on your own property, which it has a high, Muslim population. So I don't know how many people are really dying to go out there and fly their pride flags, but you are still able to do that. But on city property, public property, you can fly the American flag, which really represents all people. We're supposed to anyway. The city flag, the state flag, the POW flag, and there was like another kind of flag that they made or something that's supposed to represent nationalities or something within I think Hamtramck or something. But kind of, I don't really remember quite on the fifth flag, but the rest of the flags are banned, which they have requests from other folks, other groups about raising other flags. So would you want, maybe the lefties wouldn't care, whatever. I don't know about them raising a Muslim flag, or, well, I don't know how they feel about raising a Christian flag on all the city property or whatever. I'm sure Church of Satan would get right on that, because they always like do lawsuits to get rid of is it all religion they really go after, or is it just Christianity? But would you be cool with that, or would people, be like, hey, get this flag down, get this flag down? So it's saying that you can't have those flags, you can't have a BLM flag. They're not going to raise a Trump flag, obviously, on city property or anything like that, and they're not going to raise an LGBT flag. So it is neutral, but unfortunately, when you are so privileged all the time, you think that fairness and neutrality is actually a target and unfairness, and you see it as oppression, which is funny because in the Democrat Party policies and stuff, this is regarding race, I guess, but it can apply to this ideology and stuff too. They don't really agree with having a neutral race policy, but I can see that obviously spilling into other things. Neutrality is bad. They want to be they want to be special. They don't want to be the same. I mean, that's what a lot of this stuff really is. So anyway, I'm going to play this video from a news coverage from the city council event, and then I'm going to share with you um I did have a funny thing I forgot, but I'll have to show you guys later. I'm looking at my files. I'm like, I totally did download something funny, so we'll have to pause on that. Hamtramck. This is a news report from the city.
A resolution banning most flags from being flown on public property in the city.
That includes LGBTQ plus pride flags. We're taking a live look now at that meeting where City Council is still in session tonight. Our Ibrahim Samra breaks down the resolution from Hamtramck City Hall.
It's a proposal that has two sides.
This is the flag that should be up, no other flag.
Pointing the finger.
Absolutely nothing neutral about banning rainbow flags on city property.
Nearly 200 people pouring out from the council chambers to the hall to stand for.
We don't fly heterosexual flags. We don't fly any of these other flags.
Or to stand against.
I oppose this resolution, and I oppose you bigots and your bald-faced attempt to make this city a place of hate.
The flying of flags other than the one this country, state, or city represents.
Flying the pride flag at City Hall is not going to encourage people to be gay. It's not going to corrupt anyone's children.
You keep your flag, you want to put it at your house, put it at your house. Do not put it on city property, and do not put it in our schools.
The bill written by City Councilman Mohammed Hassan states, quote, the city must and will serve and treat its residents equally with no discrimination or special treatment to any group of people.
We respect all nations, cultures, and their flags, but we only salute the American flag.
The clear and abundant desire to shove this community back in the closet is seen by all of us.
But some residents who oppose the resolution say even its name, Resolution to Maintain and Confirm the Neutrality of the City of Hamtramck towards its residents, does exactly the opposite.
The reason behind this resolution seems reminiscent of fear-mongering, manipulating the city's citizens to think they are in potential danger.
And while both sides for and against have been reluctant to budge on the issue,
do not waver and do not flinch. You are doing the right thing.
This battle did not start today, and it will not end today.
Others just want peace.
We're all human beings. We're all in this ship together. We're all going to go down together if we don't watch it.
Reporting in Hamtramck, I'm Ibrahim Samra, and this is CBS News Detroit.
Okie dokie. So, what's I don't know if you guys were paying attention or if this would cross your mind to pay attention to this, but did you notice all the races of the people who were there among the city council of all Muslims who were talking for the flags to be raised? White lives. There was two people who decided to make a bit more of a scene.
Too gay, but we will have the world in 2 straight miles. So it's a little bit, it's covert, so it's not right on the nose. Anyway, thank you so much. I yield the rest of my time. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure that really was going to make them vote to not raise the flag or whatever. So, a lot of these religious communities, people always want to talk about Christians, especially white evangelical men. Like you hear it all the time, but not the only group that isn't so much into having all the rainbow stuff. But you know what? There's a lot of people who don't appreciate, who are in the LGBT community, who just wanted to go visit their loved ones in the hospital. They just wanted to get married. They don't like all those other stuff. There's so many videos that I saw. Like we talked yesterday about the White House person who showed their fake boobs, the trans woman. And so many people were so upset, not just on the right, also on the left, and people who were gay and trans and whatever. And they were like, and they were saying, oh, it was such a nice event. I don't really believe that, but they were like, it was such a nice event and they ruined it and they're setting us back. And yeah, that image is really setting people back, and they're aware of it. And that's why the White House came out and announced it, even though they are the ones who support women getting double mastectomies and having surgery, and they support these books. Like this book is gay that has explicit sexual graphic material in them. They're the ones who are pushing this sort of content. So yeah, you don't go to the White House and do little hoochie dances and jiggle your fake boobs on the camera, even if you're covering your fake nipples. But that was bad. But so was the women who have the double mastectomy scars and are showing off their self-harm right there with pride. That is sick. That is weird. So I think the White House stepping away is politically smart, but I'm like, bruh, you guys are creating this environment, but there's plenty of people who are like, that was not appropriate, that was not right, that was not, like, you're embarrassing everybody. Like, why do that? Why are you acting like, if you were trying to be a woman, we know what kind of woman you're trying to be by acting that way. But even in this story with Hamtramck, there's people on TikTok and other stuff in the comments, they're like, we're like, leave people alone. Leave people alone. Just go live your life. Go fly stuff on your property. It's totally fine that the American flag and the city that they live in and the state that they live in, that those things are represented, and those represents the citizens in the cities, and those include people who are LGBT. If it even includes people who are LGBT, I don't know all the demographics of the people who live in Hamtramck, but it is obviously a high Muslim population. They do have all Muslims on the city council and a Muslim mayor, and people want, not white, be less white. It certainly is. It certainly is. It certainly is. And a lot of people have had enough, and they don't want it pushed everywhere all time. So this is America. This is America. Anyway, the thing that I started laughing at, because I did remember that I had something funny to show you guys, is that Joe Biden was at an event. He was talking about his plans for different railways and stuff. And so there were some plans that were kind of questionable out there. So here's that.
Well, we're going to win, and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I can go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, definitely probably going off script there. And I thought the DeSantis War Room had a pretty funny tweet, just, detailing, this is one word here, ambitious. We're not making that, like, so I don't know exactly what he means by that at all. Not sure. I would love if someone asked Pete Buttigieg about it, but just to see what they would say. But I'm assuming there's some wires crossed with old man Joe, because that's not lining up. That's not lining up. We don't even have, they talk about doing high speed rails here, and we obviously don't have that. So good old man Joe. Okay, in California, there is a bill that is, I believe it's already passed the Senate. Yeah, the California Senate already passed a bill to redefine same-sex marriage couples unable to get pregnant as infertile. So some usual suspects are behind this bill, and I have no doubt that Gavin Newsom will sign something like this, because he's signed similar things around, and it's just so weird. If a man is shooting blanks, or a woman can't have babies because something is wrong, that is such a wound for a lot of women. And to redefine being infertile as not that you can't have kids, you just can't have it in the way that is natural. So you redefine it as infertile so the insurance will pay for it. So this is one reason why, one of the many reasons why universal health care just like makes me raise an eyebrow. And so let's say they pass this, and this is a thing that happens in California. Let's say it happens everywhere. and the insurance changes, and so that you could pay money, the insurance companies have to cover gay men getting surrogacy and IVF, etc. Let's say that's a thing that insurance has to cover, and then we get to a point where taxpayer dollars just pays for everybody's insurance. In New York, there was already a gay couple that was suing the city to have it covered, because they were saying it was like a civil rights violation, that they'll cover stuff for opposite sex couples but not for same sex. And that is so weird, and people just wouldn't appreciate that. I'm sure that Muslim community in Hamtramck wouldn't appreciate that, but that's the sort of track that we're going down. It seems like. So Democratic lawmakers are attempting to force, I'm reading from a Fox News article, by the way, companies to pay for pregnancy treatments for homosexual couples in California by redefining infertility to include couples who cannot reproduce because they have a partner of the same sex. The California Senate passed a bill in May that, for insurance purposes, would redefine infertility as a person's inability to reproduce either as an individual or with their partner without medical intervention. SB 729 would repeal and add to sections of Okay. My internet seemed to went out for a second. SB 729 would appeal and add to sections of the state's current health and safety code and insurance code so that same-sex couples unable to reproduce together would be considered infertile, and insurance companies would be required to cover costs of treatments such as vitro fertilization, IVF, or surrogacy. The bill would require large group, small group, or individual healthcare service care plan contracts and disability insurance policies issued, amended, or renewed on or after January 1st, 2024 to provide coverage for the diagnosis and treatment of infertility and fertility services. The legislation states the bill would revise the definition of infertility and would remove the exclusion of in vitro fertilization from coverage. IVF treatments include costly procedures like ultrasounds, blood tests, egg retrieval lab fees, embryo transfer, freezing of the eggs, viable embryos, and 1 year after embryo storage fees, according to the Pacific Fertility Center of Los Angeles. The center also states that the average cost of in vitro treatments in California is between $8,000 to $13,000 for one cycle, not including medication. If passed, the bill would cover costs of surrogacy, which is much more expensive treatment that averages anywhere from $14,000 to $46,000. The Democrat-sponsored bill was introduced by Senator Caroline Majinvar, sorry, butchered that, who said the legislation will ensure that queer couples will no longer have to pay more out of pocket to start families than non-queer families. The Senate bill was co-authored by Democrat state senators Anthony Portantino and Scott Wiener. Not surprised about Scott Wiener, not surprised in the least, but Scott Wiener has his hands in a lot of weird, creepy bills. Men having babies. If you don't know who Scott Wiener is, let me just share the screen really quick so you guys can spot him. But he's involved in a lot of weird legislation in California. I think I'll have to do like a whole video just on Scott one day, but this is freaking weird, guys. So that's Scott Wiener there. Scott Wiener, who was really pro COVID policies, wear a mask, all that other kind of stuff. This is just an example. I wrote an article about this on blackteeners.com, but he was so mad, so upset at the idea of when monkeypox was breaking out, of instructing gay men to just not be super promiscuous for a little while. He thought that was so wrong. He's like, don't tell them to not sleep around with multiple people. How dare you? It's like, people are going to do what they're going to do. Just get better health care. And it's like, or you could just let, people know that this is breaking out a lot through, sexual actions, mostly from gay men, and if it and just cool it. Just don't have weird hyper promiscuous sex with randos for a little while. That didn't seem like too much to ask for. But take the jab, bigot. The Democrat sponsored bill was introduced, but I already read that. Sorry. Men Having Babies, a group seeking to broaden access to affordable, ethical parenting options for gay men, said it supports the bill because it believes the anguish felt by women and men who cannot get pregnant is equal to the frustrations of same-sex couples who cannot reproduce. The anguish and yearning that same-sex couples and singles feel due to their inability to reproduce without medical intervention is equal to the anguish of heterosexual couples who suffer from medical infertility, MHB wrote on its website. This bill comes as the California State Assembly also is pushing a bill to amend it so parents in custody battles could be found liable for child abuse if they do not affirm the gender identity of their children, which we talked about another day. There's been parents who already lost custody of their kids, but I guess a bill will just make it super official and easy for parents to lose their children if they don't allow them to inject themselves with drugs and potentially sterilize themselves. So I'm not a fan of IVF. I think there's, well, one, how we do it in the United States. I don't know how everybody does it everywhere, but I don't think we handle it very ethically. Of course, there's the storage of the embryos. These human beings were just kind of frozen in time. Some of them are, tossed away, and some of them are never, used at all. And in some situations, I knew somebody who used to actually work in IVF, and at a clinic, I guess it was here, but the clients were like from overseas. And if they wanted a boy, and like, let's say something was wrong with like the embryos of the girls, they would still take, well, let's say there was a perfectly healthy girl and all the boy embryos were messed up or something, some kind of disease or whatever, I don't know, abnormality. They would rather take that boy than that girl. So there's some like sex selection things that happen and other stuff. There's also all the drugs that women take. If you ever looked at like fetal reduction abortion, it's pretty horrific. And I think a lot of these women are taking drugs that are obviously unnatural, and it can cause a process that their body isn't ready to handle. And there'll be read situations where doctors had to abort like 11 or like 9 babies or something, because they implant maybe more than one, or because of all the drugs or whatever, it's more likely that they'll have a lot. There's one story I read with a woman who had in vitro, and she ended up they implanted 2, and they're like, well, what are the odds, and she ended up having a set of twins and then another baby, and they told them that they had to abort one, and so or she'd lose them all. And so she asked, like, well, can we abort one of the twins? What a horrific thing to even contemplate and have to talk about and do whatever. But they're like, no, because how the twins are, if you kill one, the other one will die, so you have to abort the other baby. So she decided to abort the single, but the other, something was wrong with the development of one of the twins, and they weren't developing well enough. So the mother, well, she didn't really get a decision at the point. They're like, it's best at this point where you have to abort the twins. And so she had to end up aborting the twins, and wanting a baby so bad, and then having 3, and I don't think she really wanted 3, but that's what ended up happening, and she couldn't even have the 3. It was just a really horrific story to read about, and I just kind of went down a rabbit hole of fetal reduction. And I don't that's I don't think it's talked a lot about in the pro-life community or whatever, because I don't think just a lot of people have looked at it. And I think more people are starting to talk about IVF and some of the dark side of surrogacy as well. But I'm I'm not a fan of doing a lot of unnatural things. And I understand the desire and the want to build a family. I also don't think we're necessarily entitled to one. So I think how we go about making them should be ethical, especially ethical in the best kind of ways for um, that child as well. So I think there's a lot of questionable things going on. Like even with the surrogacy thing, they make sure that they'll have the woman's eggs. They'll have a different egg donor than the person who actually carries the baby. So there's different levels of separation of legality. So if that mother wants that baby, then it changes her mind. She's not going to get that baby. So there's other people who've covered kind of some more of the darker side of surrogacy and stuff. And I know people who've done it and participated and stuff in it. And you know, it's a complicated issue, but the government's changing the definition of infertility, so two gay men can have this access and be paid for in insurance, as if it's the same as a woman just as a normal couple being infertile, um isn't isn't right. um because then you're not just talking about something. Nothing is wrong with your body, you're just not with a woman. You're just not with a woman. You're just not with a woman. And that's, gosh, one of the issues with same sex and opposite sex, they're not the same in the sense that obviously they're not built to reproduce naturally. So I'm, you know, people getting into contracts and being with who they care about and who they love, and visit each other in the hospital, and have their tax is intermingled and stuff is fine. But like there's a story that was in the news not too long ago. I didn't end up talking about it on the show yet, but there was this lesbian couple who wanted a baby. So one of the moms they found a donor. I have no idea if she was inseminated, because one of the lesbians, got pregnant, and I don't remember all the details, but now there's drama because the lesbians are divorced now, or they're not together, and the bio mom of their child, the child's a couple years old now, is now with the sperm donor. So I got questions, and I don't think we need to ask a lot of questions, but I think we know the answers to how that baby got in that womb. So now she's with the donor, and people are so mad. They're like, because the court ended up awarding custody, they're like, they gave them to the sperm donor. And I'm like, what, to the father of the child? And so they didn't end up signing like his rights totally away. And I don't know what, there seems like there was always some shady stuff going on there. Again, I think it's questionable how that baby got in the womb in the first place. But the big issue that people are upset about is that the non-bio mom had her name on the baby birth certificate, which is wild to me because it's like a legal document. You can understand if like someone is adopted parent, but like you'd want like for records reasons and stuff, why not like the actual, if you have to do rabbit hole research and stuff, you want to know like who the biological parents are on the document. At least I would think. But just simply having your name on the birth certificate, doesn't ensure that you have custody of that child if they're same sex. And so she would have had to pay an extra fee to actually adopt the child. And so people are upset and saying that it's unfair, and they want to change the laws because they're saying it's wrong to have that that assumption or presumption or whatever that they're not the parents, I guess, compared to like if two people of opposite sex were on a child's birth certificate. Now, let me tell you, a woman could put your name on the birth certificate and you not be the father. That is totally legitimate. That you may not actually be the dad. And I think if you're concerned about your lady friend out there, which I think is a sad situation to be in, you should probably get that test before you put the name on the paper, because they're definitely going to come after you for child support. But it is assumed, though, because naturally a man and a woman is that child's father and mother. You can say there's two mommies, but there is a mommy and a daddy. Sex is binary. You're getting two donors that have come together and made the baby. So if you have two people of the same sex on the birth certificate, one of them is obviously not the biological parent. So that the same assumption wouldn't exist. And I could understand you to agree, but they're not the same. They're not the same. So again, like, people entering the contracts and being able to, share your tax money and to visit your folks in the hospital and have your affairs in order in your wills and in your insurance and all that stuff. That is a different matter. And I'm not against that. I kind of think, though, I'm on the get government out of marriage kind of train myself, but this is weird in California. Two gay men are not the same as a woman who is infertile. Two gay men are not the same as two women who are infertile. It's not the same. Anyway, we'll move on. This is a crazy story out in San Francisco. This person shared, this filmmaker, of how they were in San Francisco for a little while and their stuff got just absolutely stolen. And I've never been to California, I guess. But I have had my car broken into. I can't stand these, and it bothers me so much. I know that anguish of going to, and I've never had anything of that substantial amount of money being stolen from me. But I was in Detroit and I went to, and I never leave anything in the car, especially my computer. But I was running so late that I ran into an event, and I was working in Lansing, and I was coming back home for the weekend. Excuse me. So I had like a duffel bag full of clothes, and I had my laptop, and it had my work laptop in it. Then I also had my personal laptop, and I had, a lot of stuff like my Word files and stuff saved to the cloud. But a lot of like graphics and videos and other stuff that I had gone forever. So different files that I have for like my books and, covers and artwork and stuff just gone. So it was it was devastating to me. That was a computer I think I was typing some of my books on, and I like literally fell asleep with my fingers on the keys. So that's an anguish when you go to your car and your stuff is gone and it's been broken into, and you see that glass, in your car, and you're like, how did that get there? Oh shoot. And you realize that something has happened. So this filmmaker, Eli Steele, you hear about how bad San Francisco is. I was filming a shot of my father, Shelby Steele. In the 10 minutes we were gone, our SUV was broken into and nearly 15,000 of cameras stolen. I called 911. They hung up twice. So this is then they posted video footage of it happening. Yeah, I don't. Oh, there we go. They do it so quick. They have like some kind of like little device that they have on them that just breaks the glass really quick. Um, so I can say in my situation, police did not show up. I just they weren't going to go on the hunt to find whoever did it. I just basically got the information so I could do an insurance claim. Um, and so they found more equipment missing now, 25K to 30K. Um, plus rental car damage. San Francisco police doing nothing. It's so bad that my friend is calling gang members for help. Um, and then they showed a picture of people at the police station, and everybody there has had their car broken into, which is a shame. And so, while dealing with our situation, we see more robbers pulling up in the Mercedes and looking into cars. We yelled at them. They pulled a gun on my friend. He's filling out a report now. Not one police officer showed up. People asking where this was on top of a famous Lombard Street, one of the richest neighborhoods in San Francisco in America. I've worked in dangerous neighborhoods for years and nothing like this. We just left police station. Officers was kind and took down all the info. She expressed sympathy and said nothing will likely happen. The police have been defanged, which is true, very true. And I've seen different news reports going on in California, and the police are basically like, the criminals will tell them that they don't care because they know nothing will happen to them. So we just continuously create a culture of lawlessness where these people can just get away with all kinds of different stuff. I was reflecting today about how, people in other countries can't understand why Americans are so obsessed with guns. I'm like, you guys don't understand how bad it is kind of right now with our crime and our justice system. So many people trying to reform it. Like people like George Soros, but if you mention his name, people are like, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic." That's not true. He's literally just wants to reform our justice system into a terrible kind of, um, you know, no justice system really. But his son, I just kind of took over and is, I guess, far more political according to, well, his son. But there's all these prosecutors and woke people enacting laws that just basically gets rid of the teeth of the police. So they know that they're not going to face anything. So if you're an American and you don't feel confident that the police are going to be able to do anything and actually serve and protect you and put bad people away, you know that your self-preservation is in your hands. So why would you want to get rid of a firearm, especially if someone who's a criminal who's committing some kind of gun crime is probably not going to be prosecuted? Which I think we talked about this story before, but just on a side note, there was a woman who was an elderly woman who was canvassing during the midterm election in Michigan, and she was shot by a man in the midst of her canvassing. And that man like didn't go to jail. He shot this woman who was canvassing for pro-life issues. And our governor is really, really anti-gun. We have all these people who are elected now who are anti-gun. We're passing anti-gun legislation or more gun restriction and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, but someone can't go out and say, hey, please don't vote to, enshrine this law in our constitution that's going to make it so that children could potentially get abortions without parental consent and knowledge, and maybe even do other sort of things outside of abortion without parental consent. And you get shot and nothing like really happens to you. And then you want people to give who are law-abiding citizens who haven't shot anyone to just kind of give up their guns. It's crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, on Monday, we attended San Francisco's meeting on reparations. See my father in the tan jacket in the photo. Some of the committee members were arguing for more defunding the police. Just crazy. Can you imagine, like, if instead of like arguing for reparations, and again, California didn't like have slavery and other stuff like that, if they just they don't, it doesn't have the same history as other states. Imagine if they just took care of their citizens that were actually there. Imagine if they just took care of their people, that if people felt safe, if people weren't defecating in the streets. Imagine if they did stuff like that. Maybe people wouldn't feel like, maybe people would still ask and want to check. But doing the whole reparations thing to what, to buy support, people aren't going to want to live in this state, period. That's why people are fleeing. I just learned from a Good Samaritan that the license plate on the Blazer was stolen from a 2022 Mitsubishi owned by Enterprise, just as San Francisco locals told us would be the case. Guy at the Hertz car rental said that they average 30 cars a day that have been broken into. My father and I never thought we would be in the position. Well, they set up a GoFundMe for some of their stuff, but talked to my insurance rep. I told her what happened, and she says I'm not surprised, and then tells me that her own car was stolen despite all of her precautions. Not only that, several San Franciscoans stopped us today with their own crime stories. We have to get off this bottom. So yeah, it's crazy, but this isn't an isolated incident. Question is, what are we going to do about it? And I don't know if you live in California, I don't know what you're going to do about it other than, I mean, you could always vote for better people and convince other people to vote for better people. I don't understand how people could just keep going down a rabbit hole of just worse to worse to worse to worse to worse. Chicago, for example, got rid of Lori Lightfoot, and the new person they elected doesn't look like it's going to be much better. I think it's interesting that because it was they don't usually like vote people out. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is a good sign. And it really wasn't. So people have to make decisions to do better and want better and to vote better and get involved and put people out of jobs and make really good social change. But that is a crazy state. And if you're not a non-crazy person, I do not blame you for fleeing. But this isn't only happening in California. California is pretty bad. But there's other big cities where, you know, people feel like they can really get away with crime, you know, and my heart goes out to them losing. That's a lot of equipment to have stolen. And a lot of people in the comments were just like, why did you have that much equipment in the car? Why did you have stuff that was seen? Why'd you leave it alone? And those are good questions. Apparently they didn't leave it alone for that long, but maybe they didn't know how bad things were, about how quickly people steal stuff. There was a news report of someone covering that stuff, and somebody stole like stuff from the news crew. I think I showed that to you guys when that happened, but it is really bad. But you know, I've always been like taught, like, if you go into like areas of Detroit or whatever, you make sure that you keep nothing that's valuable out seen. You put it in the trunk, you cover it or whatever. Don't have loose change out. You don't know if some bum or someone's gonna break in the car to steal your change or whatever. And in my situation, I never ever 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 leave my computer anywhere. I bring it with me like literally everywhere. So that was like a once in a lifetime screw up that really hurt me, but I guess, you know, I got the insurance and I went out and bought a new computer. So a lot of stuff I didn't get back, but I hope we can start holding people accountable. It's so crazy that when Tim Scott announced, you had women on The View saying like, what do you mean that people's not taking responsibility and like people aren't going to jail? And they try to gaslight his whole entire like little commercial speech that he put out. And it's like people aren't being held accountable for their actions because we clearly see this crime continuing and it's really getting out of hand. So good luck to all of you out there. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. You can go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Check out different merch at the store, such as I will show the You Are Not That Special, for example. We got that. We also got those in mugs. We got 4th of July coming up. So we got this cool, the Constitution is a Glorious Liberty document. That's a quote from Frederick Douglass' speech, What is the 4th of July to a Slave? So they actually gave one the 5th of July because you had enough good sense to not actually crap on the 4th of July on the 4th of July. So it's a really good speech, though, if you haven't read it. But it's a pretty cool shirt. So guys, check that out and other stuff that we have at Black Tea News. Also got my Black Tea mug here right now. So go to the website, check out different merch, and if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at the website. Cost a stream, run my website, all that good stuff. So if you can support, I really do appreciate. Bible says you have not because you ask not. So I'm going ahead and putting that ask out there. So if you can, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being in the chat. Those of you guys who watch it live, those of you guys who watch it back. And don't forget to hit that like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell, and make sure that you guys are following me across my different social media platforms. Please go ahead and take time to follow me on Rumble, on Twitter and other places. I think TikTok is my biggest following, but they really had me stagnant and shadow banned for a while, but this YouTube is really coming up fast, and I think we'll get to 100K. We're at 72,000 right now, so we're steadily climbing. I thank you guys so much, but just make sure that you guys are following other places because social media can always put the hammer down on you one way or another. So go to the website, drop in your email address, but follow me across everywhere, and you won't lose me. So God bless, and I will see you tomorrow.